Welcome to the Taking the Lead podcast, where we empower people to be unstoppable. I'm Christina Hepner with my co-hosts Leslie Hoskins and Timothy Cuneo. So I have to tell you both, I picked up another hobby just to add to my list.
Because you have more time.
But this hobby kind of wasn't by choice. Golf.
Oh, I love golf.
I've never golfed in my life. And this summer, I golfed in my first tournament, and we actually got first place.
Oh my God.
Really?
Beginner's luck.
Yeah. Well, my boyfriend Johnny is a huge golfer.
Was it a scramble?
It was, but we used some of my shots, okay? We did. We used some of my shots.
Really?
Yeah, I was very shocked. It's hard, though, because I played softball and baseball my whole life. So to go from that to
It's a very different swing.
Oh, yeah. There was some times where I was doing a combination of both swings. I was like, whoa.
This is your first time ever playing golf?
Yeah, I've only done putt-putt.
Was it all par 3 or was it par 5s?
There were some par 5s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Look
I
at
didn't
you.
know, though, how much equipment you needed to golf. It's a very,
It's an expensive hobby.
yeah. I was
golf clubs
what?
are not cheap, nor is just going to the golf course.
no, and then you have to wear, certain outfits.
Well, obviously, you have to have a cute outfit to go golfing.
Yeah.
That's half of it.
And we did, matching sort of outfits, the same color scheme.
Obviously.
I was
Of
dang,
course.
this is very expensive hobby. But, I mean, yeah.
I do really enjoy golf. My grandma was a huge golfer, and my grandpa still is. And we've been golfing since we were little. My kids actually, even my grandpa made them little clubs. So he cots them in half and
my
then,
gosh.
puts the little thing on them. So my kids have had golf clubs, since they were born too. So it's just been a fun sport that we've always played. But golf is a really nice, lifelong sport. Like football, you kind of grow out of playing football, but golf you can play. My grandpa is, I think he's 87. And he still plays every day. He also has macular degeneration.
Yeah.
He's legally blind. So he golfs with his buddies, but he still goes out every day. He uses a very bright metallic colored ball that helps him. But of course, you can work on a different ball that's going to work for you. And then his buddies really help him. So he goes out with his friends and they, tell him where his ball is and where he's got to aim. And it's his hobby. Yeah, he does it every single day. He absolutely loves it.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. I can't imagine him not playing golf.
I'll
You
just stick
mean
with
people
putt-putt.
do golf for life? That means because Johnny's a big golfer, that means I'm going to have to
Yeah, no, it's
play
not gonna
golf for
stop.
life.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, if I end up staying with him.
Oh my God, are
Oh
we
my
still
gosh.
questioning that? Johnny
come
listens.
on.
He's an avid listener. I feel like I'm a bigger Johnny fan than
You are. He always tells me when he listens, he's like, I really like Leslie.
Obviously, because I'm the one supporting you. I'm holding this relationship together. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my Lord.
Without you, we would not be together. I'm
Right?
just kidding.
Well, he did beat you in the race. Timothy,
Yeah.
so you play putt-putt then. Have you played putt-putt recently? Does Glacier like to
haven't
putt-putt?
played- I used to like it. I would like to try it, see if I can still do it.
Yeah.
I think I would have to have my wife put her putter where the hole is, and I can just try to aim, I guess. But I wonder how they could make an adaptive putt-putt course. That would be kind of cool.
Putt-putt would be really difficult because those courses are so crazy and they have all those weird loops and bumps and everything. But
Yeah.
you can always put a sound source in the hole, so you have an idea
Have
of
a
where it
bigger
is.
hole too, probably.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. Yeah, you can absolutely make any sort of sport adaptive. And that is one of the things we do at camp is try to make different sports and hobbies adaptive so that kids can go back home and then do it. So yoga, for example, is something that you can do very easily with or without vision. And it's really good for your core strength and your balance and body awareness and all of that. And that's something that we've incorporated to camp the last couple of years, but
Yeah.
something they can go home and do.
And we did it one time at Leader Dog.
We did as well. Yeah.
I remember that. That was fun.
Look at us.
I would
being
like to see somebody play the beep kickball. That would be cool.
We did. We played beep kickball for camp one year, and honestly, it was so much fun. So much fun. I think, again, the instructors may have had a little bit more fun than the campers did, but they were so good at it. But there's beep baseball, there's goal ball, there are so many different things. People play hockey, they go skiing, they do, you name it. Everybody's doing everything. So,
There are leagues down here in Georgia for that beep kickball. They're
Oh, yeah,
serious
that's so
about it down
cool.
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're definitely growing, which is very cool. And it's nice to most of those sports, it's an even playing field. So most times you have to, like, everybody is blindfolded, or, it just makes it a little bit easier or fairer, I guess you would say, maybe for everybody. But it's a good time. Highly recommend anybody, if they get an opportunity, to give it a shot and play. Awesome. Well, good luck with your golf journey, Christina. I can't wait to follow along, and good luck to Johnny, honestly, at this point.
Poor Johnny, I swear.
Johnny, we're rooting for you. But today we are very excited about our guest and learning more about his experience with Leader Dog and the public.
Yes, Jeff Hawkins had a successful career in the paramedic industry for over 30 years, and he represents Leader Dog as a keynote speaker and has addressed thousands of people, organizations, clubs, and associations.
Jeff, it's great to have you on the podcast. I met you last year up at Leader Dog, and you're an amazing man. But can you tell us a little bit more about your life before you started losing your vision?
Absolutely. Good to hear from you again, Timothy, and thanks for having me on, guys. And by the way, I'm playing in an outing for Leader Dog at the end of the month, and Christina is on our foursome. So
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
She says she won her event yesterday, so we're expecting big things.
It was scratch.
Did you coordinate your outfits yet? Because that's obviously going to be top on the list. Here.
I did ask Steven and Dave, the other two people playing with us. I walked in, I said, "It's Caddyshack theme. Are we matching outfits?"
Oh God, I can't.
I can put a skirt on, but I'm not shaving my legs. Anyways, listen, thank you. And I've always been a very social person, outgoing, sort of a self-proclaimed adrenaline junkie, if you will. Just loved to live my life. I was always somewhat outspoken, very egotistical at a young age, and really probably a downside was I was a lot about me, and these were all things that were prior to my vision loss. But basically, just a happy-go-lucky guy. Didn't pay a lot of attention in school. Wish I would have, because I could have done better, I know. But just living life and just grabbing every bit of it that I could.
That's amazing. I love your own definition of yourself. I think that's pretty self-critical, but also so great. Like, it's great to reflect and understand and recognize too that you change, right?
Absolutely.
So many life events and things happen that really do change your whole outlook on life. So can you tell us a little bit about what it was like experiencing vision loss and what that journey was like for you?
Yeah, it was really a big, hard slap in the face, if you will. I mean, obviously, it's not something anybody expects when they begin life. But I went in for my driver's license test when I was in my early 20s. I'd just come out of school with my credentials to begin working in emergency medicine, and I couldn't pass the driver's license test, and I didn't have any inkling that I had vision problems at that time, but obviously I did. And so, it was quite a shocker. And the course of 6 months or so, lots of specialists and testing, as they talked about some really pretty bad things. And ultimately, they settled on a disease called Starart Disease. And it is a form of macular degeneration. It's a juvenile form. It's not the age-related leaky vessel kind that most people are familiar with. And, I was told you're going to begin to lose your sight. And so over the course of the next 20, 25 years, that's exactly what happened. And that journey was really quite incredible as I transformed from sighted to legally blind, from this happy, positive, go get it kind of guy to just to a point, total darkness, depressive days, like what the heck's going on with my life. So it was really an incredible journey, and I feel like I have popped out the other side, and I'm a much better person, I think.
That's so interesting. So when you were going to be a paramedic and then you recognized that you had vision problems, what's interesting too is hearing from people who had no idea that they had a vision condition, right? Like your whole life you had probably been adapting and just assumed that's what everybody saw until somebody told you, no, it's different, right? Like you don't see like everybody else sees.
That's very true. And once I learned that I had a problem, a few years later, I could look back and I could remember things, driving wise, whether it be in the ambulance or just personally in my car, and like, oh well, that's why I almost hit that car, or that's why I almost did that, and just different things that different difficulties that I would have that it didn't really put much thought into, but really was quite apparent. There were some issues.
Absolutely. We've had people on the podcast too with children.
Yes.
And we've asked them, like, how did you know, right? And it's like minor little things, right? Like they thought that their daughter was just super clumsy, right? She ran into things all the time. She just tripped over stairs all the time. And you just think, oh, she's just clumsy. And then she went in for an eye appointment and found out, she had RP or whatnot. But it happens, right? And especially too, from my experience, when I talk to clients who have experienced vision loss kind of growing up or in the younger years, you just don't know any different, right? So it impacts you so much differently versus somebody who loses vision later in life, who's had perfect vision their whole life. The impact is very, very different, and the experience is very, very different. Okay, so you're losing your vision. You're a paramedic. How did that all play out? What happened there?
Well, I had the good thing about that Starart disease is that it's a slow progressing disease. So I was told I would have several years, which I did, and so I was able to have a successful career. My vision didn't really impact the job or the job performance at all until later on, maybe about 20 years in. That's when I realized that things were getting to the point now that I could probably no longer do this job safely. I was relying a lot on my partners and help around me to read certain things. I mean, you realize we're using small medication vials with very small writing, and these are things that would literally kill somebody if you give the wrong dose or the wrong type kind of thing. And so, I knew that I had a early retirement coming, and it definitely was the first breaking straw in my whole journey into this stuff, and it was killer because I had to quit. I joke when I speak about the last thing somebody wants when they call 911 is their paramedic to walk in the door with a seeing eye dog in his left hand. So not going to go over too well, but I did retire, and things sort of began their downward spiral at that time. And remember, I worked in the early 80s through about 2001, and there was not a lot of disability reform. Mm-hmm. Well, there was, but it even more so back then was not being adhered to. So to get accommodations, my struggles were pretty rough. So I really had to find myself faking at times and adapting by, yes, I see that, yes, I can do that, kind of things. It was a tough road.
Yeah. And how did, I guess, after, you retired all of that, how did you find Leader Dog if there wasn't really, that knowledge out there from, your eye doctor or anything?
I only live about 8 or 9 miles from the campus, so I was aware that Leader Dog was there. I was under the impression, as most people are, that anytime you see somebody with a dog or a cane, that person is totally blind, right? And I still think that perspective is out there, that people, they can't call Leader Dog because they're not blind. That's the way I thought of myself. I just thought of myself, I can't see, but I'm not blind. Boy, was I wrong. But as my life began to spiral a little more, one day I got online and I began watching the YouTube videos from Leader Dog. And I watched the one from Lenny, where he's sitting in the restaurant one day, and the guy said, "Why ain't you got a dog?" And I don't know if y'all have seen that one.
I haven't, but I'm going to be
No.
looking it up now.
You should. It's really, it's called Independence Day because I think he got his dog either right around the 4th of July or something. But it really was an incredible video, and it actually brought tears to my eyes. And I said, that's it. And, of course, my wife is about sick of me at that point, too, the brunt of a lot of anger and frustrations that I was going through. And I made the call, and I like, oh, okay, I don't have to be totally blind. So yeah, that's how I found y'all.
Timothy, I'm curious, did you have that perception too, or an idea that like you couldn't get a guide dog or you didn't need a cane or anything like that because you still had some remaining vision?
Well, of course, yeah, because I mean, blind to probably like me and Jeff, you just can't see anything. And to find out if you're legally blind, you do qualify for a dog or the O&M training at Leader Dog, and that's what's great about it. And I'm glad I went one so I could kind of ease into all this instead of all of a sudden, waiting and waiting. And I'm glad I found you guys when I did. So Jeff's talking and I'm hearing the same story in my head. That's exactly what I went through.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how that works? I mean,
yeah,
the circumstances are different for all of us, yet that journey is so similar. It's just bizarre.
And that is one thing, I don't know how to break that myth. That is like something that we are working on all the time is people understanding that they deserve and qualify for these services. It feels like we're screaming it from the rooftops, but like you said, we're still letting people know that services even exist, let alone like who qualifies for them or how to get to them. Blind rehab is something, it's a very, very small field that not many people even know is available.
Yeah. And I think too, like you both have said, you didn't think to yourself that you were blind. And I think, we have to figure out a way to tell people what blindness actually is. Because I'll be completely honest, before I started working at Leader Dog, I thought most people were completely blind or only saw like, very little or shapes or whatever it may be. So I even thought that before I even started working here. So I think
and we talk about too, like vision's tricky and it can be really hard for family members or friends to understand, why you can see something one day and you can't see something the next day or even in the same day, but with different lighting or whatever it is. Eyes are so tricky. Did you have a hard time navigating those conversations with your family and friends about your vision?
Not so much with family because they love me. But honestly, with friends and the public and different things, very much so. Because you're right. I mean, I still play hockey a couple days a week, and I almost felt in the beginning like I shouldn't even be telling people like this because they're going to say, "Oh, well, you're not blind then." Yet I am blind. So I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. It's like the public expects that you can't do any of this, and if you can, then you're not blind. So, I don't know. One person at a time. Unfortunately, that's where we're still at to get the word out there. But hopefully that will change.
Yeah, I think, like you talked about in the 80s, things were different and the perception and understanding of disabilities in general was different and it is changing. The tune is changing, and I think that's obviously for the best. And I'm excited to see where the future goes as far as different rehab options go, as far as people's perceptions and stereotypes go. I think, the younger generations too are really working towards that. And especially there's so many initiatives right now pushing forward and letting people know that just because you have a disability, you absolutely can do everything maybe just a little bit differently. So I think, we're heading in the right direction, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So you found Leader Dog. Oh, go ahead, Timothy.
Okay, I was going to ask Jeff. I know he does a lot of speaking engagements for Leader Dog. How did he get involved in that?
Oh, well, probably the same way you did, my friend. I did an exit interview with, I think it was Rochelle.
Yeah.
And, she said, "Hey, you live close. Would you mind if we ever called you?" And it's something I've always done, in my profession. Communication was a big aspect of my job, which you might imagine. And when I got into the management things, I was able to. I did a lot of public speaking, presentations, those kind of things. So it was something I was comfortable with, and I said absolutely. And I think it was only a couple months home with Gracie, my first guide dog, when Mike Dengate called and said, "Hey, I'm going to Grand Rapids for I don't know, it was a regional kind of meeting of some sort, but there was a couple hundred Lions there, and I got up there and I did my thing, and Mike said, "Oh my gosh, that was pretty good. Would you do it again?" And basically the phone has been ringing ever since.
Yeah.
So, but it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you do is harness the power of leadership, which is for corporations and that sort of stuff. I think that's also a way that we can help break that barrier, is having speakers like you, Jeff, and you, Timothy, kind of go out and share your experiences and, get the word out there.
I think one of the best things that I observe from many of our speakers is, one, you give some comic relief, right? Like you make a situation that's really hard and challenging and can be very scary, obviously, but you give it a little bit of comic relief so that people feel comfortable. And all of a sudden they forget that you're blind or visually impaired. They start asking those questions that they want to know, but they totally forget. And it gives them, they leave feeling like, oh yeah, like he was blind, but like he was just a normal guy. And like you said, it's one person at a time doing that.
That's really good. That's really good. I like hearing that, because you're exactly right. And really, that's my speaking is kind of from that perspective, whether it be sarcastic or comedic kind of stuff. And that's my goal, to walk out of the room. I feel good if I've made a crowd laugh and get up or give a standing ovation or be happy, and realize that, wow, okay. This is, I can talk to the next blind guy I see or girl I see. I can say hello, because right now it's most people are like, whoa, get out of the way. Here they come.
Yeah, right. You changed it. So then the next time they see somebody, absolutely. Well, you and Timothy and many of our speakers do that. You guys do an excellent job of conveying your story, showing the emotion, showing how difficult of a journey it can be, but that you can do it on the other end, right? Like there's relief. And that's one of the things I always talk about too. Like if we're doing a blindfold walk experience or a cane walk, my hope is that the takeaway is not, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for people who are blind, but that, oh my gosh, yeah, I could do this. I could see how you could absolutely use these mobility devices or different tools and get around independently. And if they didn't walk away with that feeling, then I've failed the mission. Because it's really important that we're portraying empowerment and independence. I think that's just a huge thing of Leader Dog, because we do believe in the mission and what we're doing.
Yeah, there's been times that, mostly probably with the Lions group, large groups on the campus there that come in. And sometimes I hear this stuff and I hear the comments back from people that we're speaking to, whether it be Lions or not. And I get a sense that they're looking at the blind community with pity, right? And they're just their comments back like, oh my gosh, that's so sad. And there are times that I've stood up and say, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I want you to understand that this help is fantastic. This organization is fantastic. Yes, it makes people unstoppable and move forward, but we're not looking for pity, and I try and break that barrier too. There's so much to do.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I know. And the exciting thing is, though, is all of those Lions people, all of the other people sitting in the audience, they came to learn more.
They did.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they came out of a positive place and they're supporting our mission. So we couldn't do it without them. So it is great that we get these opportunities to sit in front of them and really show them what we do and why we do it and the impact it has on people's lives. So we definitely, you and Timothy and again, all of our speakers just do an amazing job of sharing your story and your experience. But what is one of your favorite presentations to give or experiences that you like to participate in?
Oh my gosh, I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite. I mean, I'm. It's just been across the board now, whether it be a one-on-one with maybe Melissa Weiss or somebody with a perspective of donor or VIP donor, if you will, kind of thing, right up to large corporate kind of events or the HPL. I love doing the HPL. I've done commercials and did some work with Ford when the electric vehicle first came in, making sure people knew how important it was that these cars had to make noise. So it's just really across the board. But I'm probably not going to lie when I say I'm an adrenaline junkie. I'm an adrenaline junkie, and if I can get up on a stage, like say like you're the dinner in the dark when I'm in front of 500-600 people, when I can get a crowd involved and laughing and clapping, yeah, I walk out of there going, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's as good as any drug you can do
Yeah.
for me, you know. So, but I love it all. I've met so many beautiful people across this country in the last dozen years, and have made so many connections. And I know that I've helped raise a lot of money for the organization, which I love. But most importantly, to me, is three things, and that is the spreading awareness for Leader Dog for the Blind, so maybe potential people will come in and get the help. Raising funds, obviously, but just advocating for the blind community, that we don't sit on the corner with our white canes and our tin cups collecting nickels, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're out there living our lives. So I can get that message to one person or a room of 600, 700, 800. It's all good.
That's amazing. And we are so thankful for what our speakers do, because if we went out and said all this stuff, I mean, we would not make the impact that both you and Timothy are able to make.
They don't want to hear from you.
No,
Yeah,
they
they
don't.
have
mean?
million
Trust
times.
me.
No, yeah.
Trust me. They hear my voice way too much.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear from me.
I mean, and I've said that from day one. The first couple times I spoke to everybody in any seat of power in that organization.
Yeah.
Is look, you need to stop this, and you need to get more client involvement.
Yeah.
You need to get a client we should be at every line meeting. We should be at every corporate event.
Yes.
We should be, because honestly, I see the impact that I have, and I saw the way Timothy impacted the crowd when he spoke at last summer. I mean, I see what some of us can do.
Well, absolutely. And plus, we know what happens in class, but we haven't been in class. We haven't had the experiences you guys have all had to be able to share that. So I think that's amazing. And I know
you know what the big thing is? You're not blind.
That is, yeah.
And I've said that along too, is that this place is great. They have all the experts. They have all the information. They can give you these dogs. They can teach you, and you should listen to everything they say and everything they do. But at the end of the day, just remember, they're not blind. And it's a barrier that you can't cross unless you're going to poke your eyes. It's just not going to happen. But
Yes.
And I think that's such a good point. That is exactly why it's so important, too, that we really encourage people to come to campus when they can, is to just build that support network.
Yes.
Really meet other people that are going through the same things that can relate. Like I say it all the time, and I know I talk about camp, but like that's my favorite takeaway from camp is when a camper has another phone number that they can call and the person on the other end just gets it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're right. We can support as much as we possibly can. We can give additional resources. But the best thing we can do is just help make connections.
You're not kidding. I mean, nothing gives me more joy, honestly, than say if I'm, I don't know, I was in Texas a couple years ago and met a young lady that, well, she wasn't young, but a lady that needed help. And I talked to her, and then I got a call from somebody at Leader Dog, I don't know, 3-4 months later, and said, "You're never going to guess who's here."
Man.
So I mean, that's just fantastic.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know you said we have to end with this question because you said you're an adrenaline junkie. So what are some hobbies that you continue to do? I know you've mentioned some, but
well, basically, I quit doing everything until I left this organization and got the guts to start living my life again. But you're right. I do still play hockey. I do play golf. Yes, I need somebody to give me my yardage and tell me what's in front of me and make fun of me and tell me my ball's in the woods if I'm beating them. But Linda and I go out west just about every spring and ski in the Rockies, and I ski with a guide, and but I'll take on the blues and the blacks, and they aren't little bumps. I'll go through the trees if I got somebody to follow. I'm an avid water skier. I like to hike, and we are blessed enough to live on a lake here in Oakland County, and so boating, jet skiing. A blind guy on a jet ski, I'm not sure, but I don't usually like to tell that story. But I'll get out there, and I'm people know that I can't see, whether it be Linda or my son, and he'll stop me. He goes, "Hey, there's a paddle boarder out there," and I said, "Thanks," But basically, they say you got 100 square yards, have fun, and that's I'd like to just spin and shoot and jump anyways. And So whether it be that or Lynn and I have been doing some wilderness backpacking where we throw, 30 pounds on our back and head into the woods for a couple nights. Nothing is, I won't not do anything at this point because of my blindness. And to me, that just shows the world who we are. And I'm glad I got the guts to not be afraid to let people know that I can do these things. Because isn't it funny, in the very beginning, I was afraid to tell anybody that because they're going to think, well, wait, you're blind. But so you're not blind, or you're blind? And that perception is still there, but I just don't care anymore.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story. Yeah. And we're excited. We're going to be talking with your wife soon. So everybody stay tuned for that, as we're going to get her perspective. But thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, guys.
And thank you so much to our listeners for listening to the Taking the Lead podcast. I'm Leslie Hoskins with hosts Timothy Cuneo and Christina Hepner. We hope you enjoyed hearing about Jeff and his experiences. Please join us again next time as we continue to dive into the world of blindness.
If you'd like to learn more about applying to our free services at LeaderDog, you can head to leaderdog.org or call us at 888-777-5332. And don't forget, you can reach us at takingthelead@leaderdog.org with any questions or ideas. If you like today's podcast, make sure to hit subscribe and check us out wherever podcasts stream.